Good day, everyone. I am going to discuss to you about mathematics quarter 2 on direct and inverse variation. That is quarter 2 module 1. Okay, so first thing is what I need to know. So what do you need to know? So in this module, you will learn more about situations that involve variations when you take the following lessons. So, lesson 1, you have direct variation, and lesson 2, we have inverse variation. So, in this lesson, you will learn to illustrate situations that involve the following variation. Number 1, or letter A, we have direct variation, letter B, inverse variation, letter C, joint variation, and letter D, combined variation. And you'll be able to translate into variation statement a relationship between two quantities given a table of values, a mathematical equation, a graph, and vice versa. So for now, we're going to focus on direct variation and inverse variation. So the next one here is solve problem involving solve solve problems involving variations. So after answering the module, you must be able to. So dapat malalaman nyo na to if how to direct and inverse variations, illustrate situation involving direct and inverse variations, and you must be able to translate into variation statement a relationship involving direct and inverse variation between two quantities given a table of values and a mathematical equation. And last one is to be able to solve problems involving direct and inverse variation. So for lesson 1, we will talk about direct variation. So what's in direct variation? So how are you going to complete the following or the table of values given the equation y equals 2x? Okay, so how are you going to complete this one? So these are the values in this table. These are the values of x. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are the values of x. So what is the value of y if x is 1? So you just replace the value of x here. In this equation, you are going to multiply 2 times the quantity x. So if you let x to be 1, therefore you have 2 times 1, then that is the value of y. So the same as in this one. Okay, so the same here, the same process here when x is 2, when x is 3, when x is 4, and when x is 5. So how did you get the different values of y? Okay, so you just explain here how did you get the values of x. Then what do you notice with the values of x as x increases? So what do you notice about the values of y here as the x here, as you can see, is increases? Okay, as x increases, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is increasing. So what do you observe about the values of y as x increases? So you have to base your answer from the table. Okay, next. What's new? So here we have a problem. A local government organization launches a recycling campaign of waste materials to school in order to raise students' awareness of environmental protection and the effect of climate change. So every kilogram of waste materials earns points. Okay, so every kilogram of waste material rather, earns points that can be exchanged for school supplies and grocery items. So paper, which is the number one waste collected, earns 5 points for every kilo. Okay, so this is the problem. The table shows the points earned by a grade 9 class for every number of kilograms of waste paper collected. Number of kilograms, so we have here number of kilograms, we let that to be N, and this is points, let that to be P. So 1 kilogram is equivalent to 5 points. If you have 2 kilograms, then 10 points, because for every 1 kilogram, that is 5 points. Okay, so 3 kilograms, 15 points. 4 kilograms, 20 points. 5 kilograms, 25 points, and so on. Question: what happens to the number of points when the number of kilograms of paper is doubled? So, what happens to the number here? What happened to the number here if the number of kilograms of paper is doubled? Okay, so how about if it is tripled? Okay, so ano masasabi mo dyan? What can you say about the number of points when the number of kilogram is doubled? So, kung nadoble. Okay, if it is tripled, ano masasabi mo sa number of points? So, just write your answer. So, below here, you just explain what will happen to the number of points if it is doubled, and okay, if the number of kilograms of paper is doubled and the number of kilograms of paper is tripled. So, ilagay lang yung answer dyan. Number 2, how many kilograms of paper will the grade 9 class have to gather in order to raise 500 points? So, ilang kilograms kaya dapat for you to have 500 points? So, write a mathematical statement that will relate the two quantities. So, you are going to write a mathematical sentence here in terms of N and P. Okay? And the 500 here. So, how will you write that in equation or mathematical sentence using this one and this? Okay, so yun ang answer doon. Number 3, what happens to the number of points when the number of kilograms of paper is doubled or tripled? So, pareho lang man ito dito. Yes. Then number 4, how many kilograms of papers? Okay. So, itong question na to, itong dalawang question na yan, pareho lang yan. Okay, so maybe hindi nakita ito. Ang number 1 is pareho lang sa number 3. Ang number 2 is pareho sa number 4. Okay, so ang i-answer nyo lang dyan, number 1 and 2, kasi pareho lang naman yan. Okay, next. How was the activity? So, what new thing did you learn from the activity? Ano kaya? Anong natutunan yung bago? So, the next activities will help you understand the concepts behind it. So, what is it? Let's see. Okay, here we have this one. Whenever a situation produces a pair of numbers in which their ratio is constant, it means that one quantity varies directly as the other quantity, or the two quantities are in direct variation. So whenever the situation produces a pairs of number in which their ratio, okay, is constant. Okay, therefore it means that one quantity varies directly, okay, as the other quantity. So therefore, it illustrates direct variation. So if you find these keywords, okay, the keywords, the statements, if you find these keywords, varies as, okay, varies directly as, it should be varies directly as. This should be varies directly as. Okay, y varies directly as x. It should be varies directly. Then if you have another statement that is y is directly proportional to x. Okay, so these are the keywords. Pag nakita nyo tong mga keywords na yun, it means it is a direct variation. It should be y varies directly as x. The other one is y is directly proportional to x. And the other one is y is proportional to x. So these three statements may be translated into mathematical statement that is y equal to k times x, wherein it should be like this. This one here should be y over x equals k. So make a correction here. This must be y equals to k times x, or y, dapat dito meron, y over x equals k. So dapat yun meron dito banda ha. Do not forget to write y over x equals k, wherein k is the constant of variation. Okay, your k there is constant of variation. So for two quantities, x and y, as x, an increase in x rather, okay? So for two quantities, x and y, an increase in x causes an increase in y as well. A decrease in x causes a decrease in y. So, ibig sabihin, if yung value ng x is increasing, dapat yung value ng y is also increasing. If the value of x is decreasing, dapat yung value ng y also or must be decreasing also. So that you can say that the given statement illustrate direct variation. Okay. So, balik tayo doon sa table. So, balik doon sa table. Okay. If tapos na kayo dyan, you can now masasabi nyo na if this table illustrates direct variation or not based doon sa statement na yun. Okay, based dito sa statement na to. Okay, dito. So, an increase in x, dapat increase din ng y. A decrease in x, also decrease in y. So, yun. So, let us consider the activity in what's new section. The variation statement involved, okay, between the number of kilograms n and the number of points p, which is in mathematical statement, you can write it as p equals to 5n. In this case, the constant of variation is k, which is 5. So, ito yun. And 5, constant of variation. Okay, here. If you're going to graph this one, ito, when your n is 1, your p is 5. When your n is 2, your p is 10. So, dito yan. If you're going to graph it, okay, this is your n, this is your p. If your n is 1, your p is 5. if your N is 2, your P is 10, your points. If your number of kilogram is 3, therefore, your points is 15 points, so and so on. So, then if you're going to connect it, this is now the graph of that table of values. Okay, the graph above describes a direct variation of the form y equals kx. Why? Because if you consider this as your x and this is your y, okay, this is always your y, the vertical and the horizontal is your x. It says there, an increase in x, an increase in x, and also increase in y. So therefore, it illustrates direct variation. Okay, next. Another illustrative example, if y varies directly as x, okay, you will consider this statement first. Y varies directly as x. And this statement can be written in mathematical statement which is y equals kx. So, ito lang muna. Ito. Y varies directly as x. And this can be translated in this way. Ito na. Which is y equals to kx. But your y given is 24 and your x is 6. So find the constant of variation and the equation of the variation. So letter A, you are going to express it, okay, the statement as y varies directly as x. So ito na yun. So yun ang letter A. Letter B, solve for k by substituting the values in the equation. So since this is the equation, given ang y, given ang x, so replacing the values, so magiging ganito. Then, what will you do next? Divide both sides by 6. So, i-divide natin ito by 6, i-divide din natin ito by 6. So, that will become, ito cancel na ang 6, dapat meron yan, divide by 6, divide by 6. So, 24 divided by 6 is 4. 6, kasi divide natin by 6 is 1 na lang. So, ang naiwan is only k. So, therefore, the value of k is 4. So, therefore, the constant of variation is 4. How are you going to replace it, or how are you going to form an equation of the variation? Gamitin mo ulit ito. Y equals kx. But your k is 4. So, you just replace the value of k. Therefore, your equation is y equals 4x. So, yun na ang equation. Letter B, or number 2. The table shows that the distance d varies directly as the time t. Okay, so nandito na naman. The keyword there is varies directly. D varies directly as t. Okay, so find the constant of variation and the equation of that, which describes the relations. So again, since, okay, from here we have time, distance, the next, and next. So, for every, sana yan? Okay, here shows, okay, the time and the distance. Constant of, okay, so this is a given. Okay, so since the income of the worker varies directly as the number of hours he worked, then seconds. Wait muna. Because the statement here should be in terms of D and T. It should be D and T. So, walang ano dito. Okay. So, itong solution na to, hindi ito dapat dito. Kasi iba ang equation dyan. So, sorry kung hindi nila na ano ito. This must be D equals to KT. So, dapat dito D equals KT. Tapos, you just solve for K, the same process here. So, here should be um, D equals KT. Tapos, if your D is 10, your your T is 1, then solve for K. So, this is the process. So, you just substitute when your D is 20 and your T is 2, what is K? When your D is 30 and your T is 3, what is K? Another, when your D is 40 and your time is or T is 4, what is K? So, yun. Sorry, ito, mali ito, hindi ito dapat dito. Itong solution na to, hindi dapat dito. Okay? So, yan. Ibang problem siguro ito. So, we will see later on. Okay, what's more? So, you're in letter activity 1, write an equation of the following statement. So, you just use the letters there. Since you have the keyword varies directly, so, how are you going to write it in equation? So, nandyan na yan. Pareho lang yan dito, oh. Varies directly. It should be varies directly as x. Ang answer niyan is like this only. So if your y is p, then this must be p. If your x is n, therefore this must be n. So if that is p, therefore this is p. If that is n, therefore that is also n. So yan. So you just replace the values. The letters, So, the same process with here. You have C and D. Dito may P and H. Meron pang F and D. Meron dito A and S. Okay, yan. Activity 2. In the activity 2, you just identify if the tables and graph below illustrate a direct variation between two variables. If they do, find the constant of variation and an equation that defines the relation here. Sa number 1, okay, you were asked to find or identify rather if the table and graph below illustrate a direct variation. So how will you know? We have here, going back in the concept, okay, an increase in x causes an increase in y. A decrease in x causes a decrease in y. So, if the value of x is increasing, therefore, yung y dapat increasing din. If the value of x is decreasing, dapat yung value ng y is also decreasing. So, let's see. So, look at the table. These are the values of x and these are the values of y. So, increasing ba ito? Increasing ba din yan? Okay. So, you have to find out if this is, ito ba decreasing? Pababa ba ito? This is also ba decreasing? So, kung increasing ito, increasing din yan, therefore, direct. Kung decreasing ito, decreasing din yan, therefore, direct. But, if that is direct, you have to find the constant, the k. So, how will you solve for k? So, first, you have to write the equation. Y equals kx. So, you have to solve first each. Kunin nyo muna ng value ng k bawat pair. This is your x, this is your y, then solve for k. When x is 2, your y is negative 6, find your k. Another, find your k. Ipareho yung k, okay? Ipareho yung k nila, therefore, direct yon. Kung hindi pareho ang k, okay, going back. Again, increasing, dapat increasing. If decreasing, dapat decreasing. After that, find the value of k. If the value of k, bawat pair, okay, bawat pair, if the value of k are the same, therefore, that illustrates a direct variation. Then you just replace the value katulad nito, dito sa taas. Katulad nito. So you just replace the value of k doon sa k. So therefore y is equal to kx. So ilagay nyo lang yung value ng kx, ng k dyan, and therefore, yan po ang equation. So yun ang equation doon sa baba. Dito. Another, increasing ba ito? Increasing ba din yan? And then, after, pag increasing ito, increasing yan, find the value of k pa muna. Pag pareho yung value ng k, therefore, direct. Then, write the equation. If not naman pareho ang value ng k, therefore, hindi yun direct. Okay, next. Another, you find out muna kung increasing ba both or decreasing both. Then, find k. And then, pag merong k, pag pareho yung value ng k, therefore, write the equation. Therefore, direct yun. Next. Another, the same process here. Okay. The same process here. This is your x. This is your y. If your x increasing ba din ang y? Okay. So, kung both sila increasing or both decreasing, find the value of k muna. Then, replace the value of k. Number 3 or activity 3. Write an equation where y varies directly as x. So, meron ka ng equation again. Y is equal to k times x. So, replace lang ang value ng y and x, then solve for k. The same process. Dito lang yan, oh. Dito lang ang example. Ito ang example dyan. Yan. To find k. Ito lang po. Okay. So, itong number 1 and 3. 2, 3, I mean. So, yun. Yun ang example dyan. So, on a piece of paper, sheet of paper, summarize what you have learned from this lesson. So, do the following here. You have formulate a real-life problem which involves direct variation between two quantities. Write an equation which relate to quantities. So, formulate a real-life situation. Real-life problem, I mean, that involves direct variation. Ano bang meron or that is in real-life situation, real-life problem na nakikita nyo which illustrates direct variation? So, make a table out of it, okay? Like, bumili ako ng ganito, ganyan. Tapos, ilang pieces, kung nadagdagan, magkano na yon? Kung nadagdagan pa ulit, magkano na yon? So, you have to make a table and then draw a graph and then, okay, make a table that describe the relation of the two quantities in the problem and then draw a graph. Okay, so, gawa ka muna ng problem and then make a table katulad doon sa taas. Okay. Ganito, oh. Ito muna. Saan na yun? Wala dito. Okay, ito. Ito ang problem. Ito yung table of values. Gawa ka ng equation. Ang equation niya nandito sa baba. Ito ang equation niyan. Yan. Okay. Then, mag-graph ka. Ito yung graph. Ito yung graph. Okay. Next. Ano pang next? Let's see. Okay, assessment na. Yan. Then, ilagay nyo lang yung answer. Just choose the correct answer there. Yan. So, next meeting, I am going to discuss to you, next video, I am going to discuss to you about inverse variation. So, keep on watching and please, or do not forget to like and subscribe my YouTube channel, Chelsea TV. Thank you. If you have questions, just ask me or you're free to ask. Thank you so much and have a great day ahead.